Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cult Status Update, the podcast where we talk about cult classic movies and kind of give them a fresh update. Today's episode is about Quentin Tarantino's second greatest cult film that he wrote for, the first being It's Pat. Today we're talking about Pulp Fiction. Alright, so it's been a couple weeks since we watched the movie, but we thought we'd do this one for the first episode because it is such an influential cult movie. It's got such a big following. I've seen the movie many times before. It's been a long time. Emily, on the other hand, has not seen it. By the way, I'm your host, Ben. With me is my co-host, Emily.
How's it going?
So, as I said, it's been a little while since I've seen it, and I have some different thoughts than I thought I would about this movie. But first, let's give everybody an idea of what it is if you haven't seen the movie. You want to give us your plot synopsis?
No.
Okay.
You go.
So, it's in classic Tarantino style. It's about two hitmen, a down-and-out boxer, a mob boss and his wife, and Christopher Walken sticking a watch up his ass.
Very intriguing.
Yeah, it's got everything you need. So let's go ahead and talk about the movie. What did you think? Just before we get into any of the details, give us your review.
My review?
Yes. Come right out with it. I want everyone to know beginning, because it's important because of how I used to feel about this movie and how I now feel about this movie. What did you think of Pulp Fiction?
I don't even know where to begin. I think for me, having so many different plots with the movie,
yes,
I couldn't concentrate. Like, I could not even follow what was going on. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh my God, that's a classic. I can't believe you feel that way.
Yeah. But
I did not even I'm like, okay, John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, they're killing people. Got it. Good. And then...
Yeah. So the Vincent and Jules part was not the part you had a problem with.
No, I was good with that. But then you throw in Bruce Willis. Then you throw in the girl from Kill Bill. I don't remember her name.
Uma Thurman.
Thank you.
Yes.
And she is just weird looking in this video in the movie. Can I just say that? Like, she looks so odd.
I would say she's weird looking in every movie she's been in.
I don't think black hair really does it for her.
No.
Don't really think, and again, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh my God, why do you think this is such classic? I literally feel like I was a person that needed ADD medication watching this movie.
Okay. Now, the reason you probably feel that way is it has a bit of a strange narrative. It's, again, for people who haven't seen, we're going to talk about spoilers, so if you don't want to hear about Pulp Fiction, go watch it, fast forward to the end where we say goodbye, because that's about the whole thing. But the narrative is split up. So, like the movie Memento, it's,
you're
back and forth. The beginning happens.
Again,
and then
Memento, another movie that I have not seen.
Well, look forward to Memento coming up on the podcast. But, it's just one of those things where it jumps around. And again, when I saw this movie, I was probably, it came out in 90, hold on, I've got it written down here. It came out in 94, I believe. Let me just double check my facts.
So people aren't. No, you got the date wrong.
Whoa. Yeah, came out October 94. So
I was 8.
Yeah,
I remember my parents. Can we talk about this?
Yes, please.
Remember my parents specifically saying I could not watch it because it was. And honestly, I will give it to them. I'm really glad I didn't see that as an 8-year-old. Honestly, even
your
watching
8-year-old brain was not ready for it.
Watching it as a 27-year-old, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? This is just weird. Weird storylines, weird, jumping around. Obviously, my 8-year-old brain wouldn't have been able to follow it, and even my 27-year-old brain hasn't been able to follow it.
Right. Well, so that's kind of your history. So you didn't see the movie until
I heard about it. I heard about it from friends. Mm-hmm. I heard about it through, obviously my parents saying, oh, it was pretty racy, pretty, intense, but never really seeing it,
Yeah. It's funny because I saw this movie when I was probably like 12 or 13. And I had heard about it too, but my uncle Oscar, is very hip. He's very into this sort of stuff. Like when this came out, I think it was sort of a big deal. And I remember him having the VHS of it when we went to his house.
Oh, VHS.
And, yeah, for those kids out there, that's a tape-based video format.
If you don't know what that is.
Yeah, if you don't know what that is, get the hell out of here. You cannot listen to this podcast. Yeah, but I just remember like very distinctly, just like thinking, oh, that seems pretty cool. And then when I later saw it, I was pretty young. Like I said, I was kind of enamored by it. But for me, watching this movie after having not seen it for 6 or 7 or 8 years, it's been a long time. I have to say as well, I was not as into it as I remember being. I sort of, part of it is maturity. I definitely think, I just can't really say for sure, but I think that being grown up and seeing this movie that seems very infantile, maybe it kind of wowed me with the narrative, and now I'm kind of looking back like, holy shit, this movie sucks. And it's not bad. I still think there's parts of it that I like, but just like watching Tarantino's later movies, like we saw Django Unchained.
That was a good one. I thought it was okay. Again, goriness really isn't my favorite. Well, I'm not really a big fan, but
I would say there's less gore in Django.
It's not gore necessarily. I think it's more the violence and the blood. I guess
that is gore. Yeah.
Gore. Okay.
But I mean, Django, I would say, has less gore than Pulp Fiction, where there's a dude's head exploding.
Right.
But also, I mean, that's a movie about a time where people of color were enslaved. So their use of the N-word in Django Unchained is less jarring than hearing Samuel motherfucking Jackson, dropping N-bombs all the time and, just very flippantly using it. And I know that that's sort of also that part of our culture where, rap was sort of becoming a thing. So people were using the N-word in a less pejorative way, like it was sort of reclaiming it at that point in the early 90s, late 80s. So that's also another thing where I'm just like, holy shit. But let's talk about that. So the content of the movie, were you, like you said, you wish you had, or you're glad you didn't see it when you were 8.
Right.
But as an adult, did it offend you, or it takes a lot to offend you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really offended me necessarily. It just, when I go to see movies, I don't think that's really something that I enjoy watching.
What? Swearing and violence?
Well, I think some people, when they watch movies, they're thrill seekers.
Right.
Like, they like the gore.
Like
they
scary
like
movies.
the action. Yeah, no. Me? You will not find me paying money to see a scary movie.
Oh, by the way, episode 3 is going to be scary movies.
No, it's not. We won't be having that happen.
Yeah.
Unless Ben doesn't want to sleep in the same bed as me, that won't be happening. But anyways, I just don't think that is really my genre of movies that I enjoy. I mean, granted, I like my Lifetime movie from time to time, but
we just watched one not too long ago.
But yeah, no, I don't think the content necessarily was like a turnoff for me.
Right.
But again, it's just not something that I really enjoy watching.
So you would say it was more that it was hard to follow that.
Right. I think the jumping around was the biggest issue for me, and the numerous keeping the characters straight was really hard for me too. And obviously, I'm not the type of person where I watch a movie and instantly I'm like, oh, I know that character's name. I know what it, it's not like that. We watched
Lord of the Rings with some good friends of ours when that movie came out on VHS, and I'd seen it in theaters. So it was a bunch of people, and these people were good family friends, love them to death, but they were the sort of people who were like, who's that? And in Lord of the Rings, every character looks the same. So every human is the same human. Every elf is the same elf.
I feel like you would be the only one to be able to even tell them who the characters were, because your brain works that way.
Well, and maybe they had like that face blindness where they can't recognize different people. Right. So brown-haired human guy just looks like brown-haired human guy. They can't see Sean Bean versus, Aragorn. Like they're just like, who?
I don't know. I'll be honest. Lord of the Rings I could not follow
look
that
for Lord
either.
of the Rings coming up. We're going to be watching.
Lord, I will fall asleep.
We'll have a guest on the show who has not seen that. We're going to watch all 9 hours straight, I think.
Oh my God, no. I will fall asleep.
But, so, again, I just think that it was one of those things where jumping around was innovative at the time, but we've seen that so much. Like, even with Chris Nolan, Inception, sorry. I'm going to get flamed for that one. Inception. Where they're
Yes.
where they're sleeping and they're dreaming and all that stuff.
That was actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, but I think that one did it better. Like, it jumped around a lot.
It was easier to follow,
but
though.
it was, yeah.
I think that's the difference in the directors, too. Because, I mean, I think some directors are really good about jumping around and being able to follow, the story. And I'm not saying Quentin Tarantino is bad at that, but for me as the personal viewer, it was hard for me to follow.
Well, so that's a good point. Transition here. Quentin Tarantino directed and wrote this. So this is kind of, besides Reservoir Dogs, this was his first, I would say this is his first mainstream success.
It's really bad to say I don't think I've ever seen Reservoir Dogs either.
Stay tuned for an episode we'll watch. No, I think if you've seen a Tarantino movie, you've seen a lot of Tarantino.
Oh, I'm sure I've seen Tarantino movies.
You have
and I
seen
haven't
others.
Even realized that...
Well, like Death Proof.
Okay, yeah.
Death Proof is a great example of what Reservoir Dogs was like, where the trailer, and I'm going to put the trailer up with this podcast, but the trailer for Pulp Fiction and for Reservoir Dogs is action. Mm-hmm. And the movie is 70% talking. Mm-hmm. It's good dialogue. He writes interesting dialogue about nothing. Like Seinfeld, there's no point to a lot of what he's saying. Like, they spend 10 minutes arguing about the tip in Reservoir Dogs, like whether or not you should leave a tip or if you're an asshole if you don't tip. And then they do that again in Death Proof. They talk about, like, nothing for a long time, and that just builds up the intensity when action does happen.
So it kind of makes you think, like, why are they even having a scene like this?
Right.
Why am I even paying money to see a scene like this in the movie?
Well, and it's sort of like it's like when you watch a Michael Bay movie now, you're going like, oh, Transformers is...
Thank you. I was like, Michael Bay. You don't know
I looked in her face, that's why I had to say Transformers. You watch a modern Michael Bay movie, and you're going, when is there not going to be action? Because, all of those sorts of popcorn movies are intro, action scene, and then 2 minutes of expository dialogue where they're like, by the way, there's Transformers, and we need to not get hurt by the bad ones, and there's good ones too. Mm-hmm. And then you're on to another motherfucking action scene, Samuel L. Jackson style. Like, it literally is no transition. It's just bang, 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 bang. Which is why a movie like Avatar, James Cameron kind of did something. I think a lot of people hate Avatar. A lot of people didn't like Avatar.
Nah.
It was
okay,
good for what it was. If that movie, without the graphics, if that movie had come out when The Abyss came out, I think people would have
Abyss
pooped their pants.
Movie I haven't seen.
Stay tuned for it. I'm just gonna stop saying it.
I think you need to stop just talking about movies that I've never even seen because I can't follow with you.
But you understand what I'm saying.
I am that person.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Okay. Because I just think that that was really interesting for the time. Now we've seen it.
But I mean, let's be honest. The people that are going to go see Transformers, okay, again, opinion of mine. The main reason they're seeing Transformers is so they can see Megan Fox.
That's a big part of it.
I mean,
it's not just the action. But Fast and Furious is another example, right?
Right.
These are movies that are critically panned, so the critics hate them, and most viewers love them. Because, and again, gonna get panned for this, but this is the bro mentality of as long as it keeps me entertained, I'm down. And that's why I think another reason why Pulp Fiction is something that
people are either going to hate it or later.
Right. You're either in its wheelhouse or you're not. And I think Tarantino does a good job of catering to people that like pulpy movies, crappy action type, like grindhouse cinema, but also including some smart dialogue, But I just don't think it's going to appeal to everybody. And that's one of those things where you can't tell for sure if you're going to be into it until you see it.
Right.
Transformers, you already know you don't want to see.
I've seen Transformers,
though. But I'm saying, the new one. The new one comes out.
Oh, no.
I don't want to see it either.
It's just one of those movies that I'm like, I wouldn't even pay $5 on $5 Tuesday movie day to even see. And it's like Ninja Turtles. Okay, I'm probably going to get panned for that one, too.
You know what? Fuck it.
Stupid.
Here's all the haters.
Really?
Hey,
come on.
Here's all the haters. Fuck you.
Babe.
I don't like Ninja Turtles.
Bleep
Loved,
that.
I'm not going to bleep it. I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Anybody who says Guardians of the Galaxy is overrated can shove it up their ass.
Oh my gosh.
This podcast is for adults and contains adult language. But, okay. Anyways, rant over.
Yes.
You didn't really like the movie.
I wouldn't say that I didn't like it,
There were
but I
parts-
didn't love it. I mean, I feel like I'm in between, in the middle of where some parts were really good and I really thought it was funny and, and there were some really interesting parts, but then I guess overall that wouldn't be a movie that I'd be like, oh, I love that. I can totally watch that more than once.
Right. It didn't blow your mind. There were a few parts you liked.
Not really. I mean,
So then that leads me to, what parts did you like?
I can remember what all I even watched.
It was that memorable.
I mean, I guess one of my favorite parts was probably, it's totally gory, but the whole getting
cleaning out the back seat.
Yes, that was hilarious. I thought that was really funny about how Samuel L. Jackson was so don't get blood in my car, and then all of a sudden the blood is all over the place,
and he was pissed off that
out.
my favorite lines are him in the car when he's like, I'm Superfly TNT. I'm the guns of the never own every time my fingers touch brain. He's so pissed off, and the fact that he's arguing about who's better at, oh, it's your fault, you should clean this up. It's just so absurd, but it is really funny. I think still
What was the name of the actress that was Bruce Willis's girlfriend?
Oh, the French chick.
Do you know what her name is?
I don't remember.
She's the girl that was in Amelie, right?
No.
Okay, sorry. I'm horrible.
But she looks very much like her. She's a
her,
ringer for her.
But
yeah, Butch's girlfriend. She kind of is an interesting thing because she's so naive.
Right.
She's like, why are we leaving town so fast? Let's just hang out. Let's have waffles.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole watch thing.
Yeah.
When he flips out that she didn't grab the watch. That
but I think
she's
it's
so
kinda,
innocent.
The whole watch thing. That is kind of interesting to me because
your father hid this watch in his ass.
Why would you want a watch that was put up someone's ass? Really? Why?
Her name was Maria de Medeiros.
Okay, sure. Don't know who that is. What else has she been in?
In 2000, she directed a film about the Carnation Revolution in Portugal. And I don't think she's been in much else.
Huh.
And
she's got a big nose.
I was just gonna say, not to be really mean, but when you're watching the movie, you're like, what is it with Quentin Tarantino and weird faced chicks?
Yes, I'm telling you.
Well, we know he has a foot fetish.
Okay, that's weird.
He shows her feet in the movie, and in every movie he has some kind of reference to feet.
I remember you telling me that.
And also, trivia time, he specifically wrote that part for Uma Thurman, and she didn't want to do it. That was the first movie they'd been in together, I believe. And he specifically wrote it for her. He called her and read the script to her over the phone to get her to do it until finally she caved. And now
I'd be like, I'm not interested. Bye.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so she's been in a few other movies.
Anyways,
she's in Henry and June. But anyways,
she's very interesting looking.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think anybody's saying they're ugly. In fact, I think she's kind of cute, the French girl. In like you said, she kind of looks like Amelie. Audrey Tautou is very European, and she has interesting features, and she's got that mousy face. But anyways, I just thought that was an interesting thing that a lot of his leads look the same, and he likes badass black chicks like Pam Grier,
right?
And watch Death Proof and all that stuff. There's very much archetypal characters that he has. Kill Bill is about assassins, and he's got Mike Madsen in that, which he worked with on Reservoir Dogs, and just there's definitely people he likes and stuff that he likes. And being from outside of that, you're kind of like, who the fuck is that? Yeah. Even what's his face? Harvey Keitel. You're like, is that? Oh my god, he doesn't even look, because he's so young. The guy who plays Mr. Wolf, when he shows up and he's like, all right, gentlemen, let's get started, in the tuxedo.
Oh,
when they're cleaning out the car.
Yes.
But anyways.
See, you refer to these people and...
Yeah, see, this is the problem. I have to use character names a lot, because you'll be like, who?
Or describe what the person looks like, because a lot of times I'm like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm not a name-based person of knowledge.
Keep that in mind. People how they look. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
You're not very knowledgeable with actors' names.
Thank you, yes.
I'll just reiterate. So this part, we're going to go over the vital stat. Pulp Fiction was released the 14th of October, 1994, and it's 154 minutes. So when we first started watching this, we actually had to watch it in 2 parts because it is literally a 3-hour movie. Well, not literally. It's very close to being a 3-hour movie.
It feels like it could be 3 or 4 different movies.
It feels like 4 movies. Yeah, you could have made 3 90-minute movies out of this. The budget, can you take a guess at what the budget was? 94. Big actors.
Are we talking millions?
Oh,
thousands?
Yeah. Millions. Yeah. It's not as much as you think.
I'm going to say 2.5 million.
It was 8 million, but 5 million of that was the actors' salaries. So it only cost them $3 million to make that movie, which for 94, big budget.
That's really huge.
That's really good, yeah. And strangely enough, IMDb only has their gross box office in pounds. So I don't know if this opened in the UK first or what, or maybe I fucked it up.
But you can convert it though, can't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like 1.5 times. But so the opening weekend, any idea how much it made?
Are we talking in pounds or?
Well, I'll make it into dollars. So yeah, what do you think? So it cost $8 million. What do you think it made its opening weekend?
Probably double that.
Only made $6 million, about $6 million its opening weekend. But it's gross as of February 95, so that's domestic and foreign. Total, it had made $16 million.
Wow.
So it did double. And this is before you could have a big opening weekend, have the movie in theaters for a little bit, and then go see, the DVD on the shelf 2 weeks later. Wow. So there was a long
period of time.
A whole year.
Longer than probably it is now.
Right. It took a whole year for it to make back double.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
I just wouldn't expect it to be I don't know. I wouldn't expect it to make that much. That's just me.
Also, I wouldn't have expected it to cost that little.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at that. But yeah, it's just kind of really interesting to see. They were talking about how Bruce Willis had been a big fan of Reservoir Dogs. And he had originally intended the role for someone else, who then called up Bruce and said, "Hey, I got this part offered. You should come down here and try out for it because I know you like Reservoir Dogs." Speaking of Bruce Willis, now we go back to how people look. Let's talk about what we talked about when we watched the movie.
So all I can say is I don't think Bruce Willis ever has looked young in any of his movies. Now, I feel like
on the screen right now, I'm going to put, if you're listening to the audio version, go look up Bruce Willis moonlighting on the screen. I'm going to put up a picture right now. Boom. Continue. You don't think he's ever looked young?
No, because he always is either bald or like dirty looking, or like he just looks like a dirty old man. Like I'm like, how? I mean, I'm sure there's some women out there that are like, oh, he's hot, but I'm just like, okay, I take it back. He has had movies with hair,
yeah,
but it doesn't look like real hair. It looks like he has
a toupee. It's like straight up a toupee,
like
spray
right
on
in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that picture is kind of good.
There's a picture of him where he's slightly attractive, but that's like I feel
like he's like 80s and 90s attractive. Like what we would, maybe that's why I don't think that he's very like good looking. But now, oh, honey.
Yeah, now we're looking at pictures of him now.
Not bald face.
So, but that picture where he's slightly attractive is like Die Hard era Bruce Willis.
Okay,
the best he's ever looked, probably. He was probably super ripped. But we're looking at his moonlighting pictures, and he looks like Paul Reiser. He looks like the guy from Mad About You. And let me tell you something. This is my opinion,
or
a lot like hers.
One of the characters on like Full House or something.
He's kind of looks like Uncle Joey.
Yes, Uncle Joey. No, we can't even compare him to Uncle Joey.
No, not Stamos, the other guy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but what is his name? Yeah, we cannot compare him to Stamos as well.
Dave Coulier. He looks kind of like Dave Coulier with black hair.
Okay,
right?
Sorry, I'm getting distracted about talking about Stamos. Whew.
Whatever. Your Greek love, man. Greek man love sounds like butts. But
okay, anyways.
But Bruce Willis always has looked like somebody's dad. Like, he's never been attractive.
Exactly.
Which is funny because
even
Christopher Walken...
his high school photo, he looks like somebody's dad.
Right? Christopher Walken, who's also in the movie...
Christopher Walken, never attractive.
Has never been attractive.
No.
But I think he's so old. Like, he's somebody like... He
was in Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
But this is him when he's young. He looks the exact same.
He looks like my British.
He kind of looks like Gollum. Yeah. When he's young, he kind of looks like Gollum. Now he's got a mullet. That's a picture of him with a mullet. He kind of looks like David Carradine. He kind of looks like David Carradine, doesn't he?
David Carradine?
Yeah. Like, that picture where he's got the mullet kind of looks like... David Carradine is the guy from Kill Bill.
Oh, that guy.
That strangled himself while he was jailed.
Yes. No, he does not.
Yes, he does. Look. That looks like
David Carradine is better looking than Christopher Walken.
Well, he was when he was younger.
I mean, Not
because Kung Fu era David Carradine was an action hero. No era Christopher Walken has been an action hero. Okay? Like, that's his yellow face Kung Fu picture right there, where he played an Asian.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, that was before there was such a thing as racism, guys. Where you could have a white actor play... Oh, controversy! Woo, woo! But yeah, so yeah, I just think it's really weird that like Bruce Willis has always looked like someone's dad and always been kind of grody. I'm just putting it out there.
I just don't really find him.
Well,
I mean, I give it to him. He's a pretty good actor, but just in the looks category, I'm sure there's other people that will disagree with me.
Well, wouldn't you say too that John Travolta?
Ugh. Okay, the only time
since
John
Danny
Travolta,
Zuko, he's not looked good,
the only
right?
time he has ever looked attractive is in Grease.
Okay.
Let's be real.
Yeah. So there's our bitch sesh. I just had to. We were talking about that during the movie, Mystery Science style. Like, what the fuck? Bruce Willis is nasty.
Yeah.
And
yet he's supposed to be like this good-looking guy, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing is they kind of market him as like a heartthrob and an action star. Never really done much of both. I mean, he's been in action movies like Die Hard, but.
Right.
He's not like, I don't know, he's not like punching people. He's like shooting a gun.
I mean, he's no Channing Tatum, that's for sure.
I'm going to delete that. Edit here. Yeah, but anyway, so, I mean, overall, what I'd really like to go over here is the things that people said about the movie. So, we obviously had, I liked it when I was a kid, don't like it so much now. Mm-hmm. You had mixed feelings about it. I'd say, what would you rate it?
I like out of stars.
Stars out of 5 or out of 10, whatever. You can, however you want to do it.
Oh man, I give it like a 5 or 6. I would say
5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2.5 stars out of 5.
It got 2.5. Like
no, that's what you. Okay, now because this is about cult classic movies, right? Movies that we maybe they've got a unnecessarily huge following. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm going to read you the Roger Ebert review from October 14th, 1994.
Oh.
When the movie came out.
I'm sure it was a great rating.
He gave it 4 out of 4 stars. Okay. I'm going to read you some parts from it. Quentin Tarantino is the Jerry Lee Lewis of cinema, a pounding performer who doesn't care if he tears up the piano as long as everybody is rocking. Okay? I don't know that I would agree with that. I think this was Tarantino trying his hardest to make a good movie, and his sensibilities are just really weird.
I feel like he was trying to make it more of like an artistic, like...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think later on, Django and stuff, like, I think he's trying to get a specific, specific look, that grindhouse exploitation movie. This was him, like, saying, yeah, pulp movies, pulp, magazines, like, crap. But he tries really hard to not make it crap, right? So it's kind of that weird, like, oh. He goes on to say, his new movie, Pulp Fiction, is a comedy about blood, guts, violence, strange sex, drugs, fixed fights, dead body disposal, leather freaks, and a wristwatch that makes a dark journey down the generations. Again, your father's asshole. Where they hid.
I forgot about the leather part, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was weird. I'm not even going there.
The gimp?
No. Nope, not talking about it. No,
God.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I would have rather fast-forwarded through that part, to be honest
Zed's
with you.
dead, baby. So yeah, he saw it at Cannes, in May before, so this is October. So he's already seen the movie. He already liked it. This is before anybody else had seen the movie official release. But he says, Tarantino is too gifted a filmmaker to make a boring movie, but he could possibly make a bad one. Like Ed Wood Jr., proclaimed the worst director of all time, he's in love with every shot, intoxicated with the very act of making a movie. I agree with that.
Yeah.
If he had ended the review with, I liked it, but maybe he fucked up, maybe he made a bad movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think so far? You agree? Disagree?
What, with what he said before?
Yes.
That?
Well, let's go ahead and finish out here. He also says, like Citizen Kane, largely said the greatest movie of all time, aside. That's
Again,
editor's note.
movie that I have not seen.
We'll watch it. Like Citizen Kane, Pulp Fiction is constructed in such a non-linear way that you could see it a dozen times and not be able to remember what comes next.
Disagree on that one. No, thank you. I'm good with seeing it just once.
And then he goes over the cast. He says there's innocent. Okay, this is about Vincent Vega and Jules. So John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
They're as innocent in their way as Huck and Jim floating down the Mississippi and speculating on how foreigners could possibly understand each other.
No, we cannot compare them to Huck Finn.
He's saying that the two hired hitmen from Pulp Fiction are Huckleberry Finn and his accomplice, Jim. For a second, I thought he meant N-word Joe, the racial character that almost got that book banned. But no, he means Jim. Anyways, Harvey Keitel plays Mr. Wolf, who specializes in messes and has friends like the character played by Eric Stoltz, who owns a big medical encyclopedia and can look up emergency situations.
Yes.
That part, I think, is my second favorite part, where he jabs the needle in her chest.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they go to the diner. He talks about all this stuff. He's basically laying out the movie. This is probably the worst movie review I've ever seen, where he's literally spending so much time talking about the synopsis of the movie. But to sum it up, it is part of the folklore that Tarantino used to work as a clerk in a video store, and the inspiration for Pulp Fiction is old movies, not real life. The movie's like an excursion through the lurid images that lie wound up and trapped inside all those boxes on the Blockbuster shelves. Tarantino once described the old pulp mags as cheap, disposable entertainment that you could take to work with you and roll up and stick in your back pocket. Yeah, and not be able to wait until lunch so you could start reading them again. So he's giving this high praise. I don't know how many movies Roger Ebert gave 4 out of 4 stars. I can tell you it's not very many.
Yeah.
He has three whole books about his bad reviews, movies that he didn't like. 3 books, entire books that people read of just his bad reviews.
I have a feeling a lot of the movies I like are probably in that list.
Ditto. Some of the movies I like are crap, I'll admit it. But I also think he just doesn't know what he's talking about. But again, I really like this movie. It's considered a classic. Now I want to read you some of the reviews that maybe sided a little more with you.
With me or with our listeners?
With you.
Okay.
I don't know how our listeners liked this movie or not, but I will say this. I think there's a large majority of people who have A, never seen this fucking movie, or B, didn't like it.
Right.
People that are listening to this are probably in that majority either A, haven't seen it, or B, didn't like it. Just to reiterate. But these are Amazon's 1-star reviews. If anyone out there has listened to the podcast, How Did This Get Made? They read 5-star reviews of shitty movies. We're reading 1-star reviews of classic movies, okay?
It's gonna be good.
So, 1 out of 5 stars. Still the most overrated movie of the 90s. By a customer. Wanted to remain anonymous. March 27, 2005. So this is a while ago. People sure do love the comedian Andy Kaufman. Why? I don't know, because he was brilliant, in quotes. But he wasn't really brilliant. His comic shtick is something that could easily be pulled off by an attention-hungry elementary school student. No, Andy Kaufman is not really cool for his talent. Just cool because people considered him, in quotes, brilliant.
Wow.
And we have AC/DC. Tons of people love AC/DC. What were you saying? Tons of people.
Comments to the end.
Okay. Tons of people love AC/DC. If you're a soccer mom in this day and age who loves Nickelback, the classic rock band, in quotes, you're supposed to like by default is AC/DC. Of course, AC/DC isn't really that great. They have a habit of making the same album over and over again and don't really bring much to the table other than recycled riffs and irritating Aussie soccer fan vocals. They're hardly a brilliant band.
What is up with the brilliant thing?
It's like, all really? In quotes. Every time he says anything, it's in quotes.
Is it the same guy reviewing?
Yes, this is all the same review.
My God.
And now we have Mr. Tarantino and his, in quotes, brilliant masterpiece in Pulp Fiction. Of course, this isn't really brilliant. It's an example of Quentin's obsession with 60s and 70s pulp drama. By the way, he wrote 60-2, not 60s. Pulp drama, and it was realized by blatantly ripping off many European and Asian films that xenophobic American audiences steer clear of. Thus, with their ignorance, this film became a smash. I remember when this film came out, I was in 8th grade. Tons of kids at school were talking about this movie that was so cool because it showed hitmen talking about fast food burgers before murdering people in cold blood.
Who has the time to even review these movies? Like, really? You have to go on Amazon, like, to basically slaughter a movie? I'm sorry. I don't care enough to do that.
There are people who make their living writing Amazon reviews. No hate to those people. But imagine if there are people writing reviews and making a living, there are idiots making stupid reviews. But, so to end it, he goes, halfway through the movie, one of my friends said, "This kind of sucks. Not very entertaining." I still stand by that sentiment today. 1 out of 5 stars. By the way, the only thing that is not in quotes is him quoting his friend. So, well played, sir.
Well played.
Well played. You want to read the next one?
No, you can read it. You're better at this than
I am. Well, I don't want this to be the Ben Reads review hour, so I think you should read a short one. This is a 1 out of 5 stars. Read the title of it.
Nothing?
It's Nothing?
Oh, and this is by Joseph P. Nichols.
Yep, oh. Joe Nichols. Shout out. We don't know you, but good, congrats. Yep, just...
Okay, I don't know why this is considered to be one of the best films ever. Other than a few good lines, it is nothing. Very insightful. Very insightful.
Cold. Straight cold. Below it, I also like this. Jennifer Carroll writes, 1 star. Did not enjoy. She literally titled the review 1 star.
Did not enjoy.
Okay. This one I thought was interesting. Okay. Read the top one.
Not worth your time. I tried to stay engaged with this movie, but just could not do it. Gave up less than halfway through it, and this is by Susan, who gave 1 star out of 5. So
right below that, I thought was pretty polar opposite. 1 star, Tarantino's best. 5 stars, easily Tarantino's best. The out-of-time overlapping vignettes grab ya and don't let go. Not for young.
But it's 1 star.
Yeah, and the title is 5 stars. Did he not know that? Is he trying to get on the bottom so that it boosts, like, people? I don't know. Okay, so this one I'm going to cut to. Robin Laird on Amazon wrote gratuitous everything. I'm going to cut down to the bottom here. Guess you have to do drugs, hurt people, or just think being mean is somehow neat, cool, whatever. No value at all to me personally in any way. Don't waste your time. Wasn't quite sure how to rate it 0 stars, or I would have.
I think he brings up a he or she. He.
Robin.
Maybe.
Could be a boy or girl.
Could be a boy or girl. It brings up a really interesting point, though, because in society, that's what a lot of people do. I mean... Do drugs and hurt people? Yeah. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Like, yeah, okay, that is displaying what and how society is. I don't know. Not everyone, obviously, and no. To me, this sounds like a very naive comment, because it's like, the first part is, acting was fine, plot was not. I don't need to see the worst that people are and can become, because it's just not worth my time. Too many redeeming things to do than watch self-destructive behavior that doesn't look like any fun at all. And okay, I have an active imagination. Bible, then, I guess. Whoa, no hate. NL 8 2014. Completely different. But okay, but anyways, I just think it's really funny. These 1-star reviews are I expected them all to be about how the content of the movie was too much for them. I thought it would be a lot of that, like Bible thumpers saying, rah, 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 rah. Or just conservatives. Or conservatives in general. Yeah. Cut that out. Be respectful. Yeah.
No hate. No H8.
That is completely something different.
What?
No
H8.
hate. That's it's not.
I know.
Conservatives. It's about gay people.
I know that. That's the joke. Oh my god.
Cut that out, please.
Cut.
Cut
it. And starting again. I'm gonna leave all that in. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing that really. Okay, Beyonce. Another thing that really stuck out to me is not only the racism, but the bigotry against, like I don't know, just the whole idea that we have these two redneck characters sodomizing Ving Rhames is very, I don't know, it's very closed-minded. Like, oh, well, you know, the only people that would anally rape some or would have sex with someone.
Yes, let's keep it to have sex with someone.
Right, but they rape them.
Right.
But I'm saying, the only people who would commit such a heinous act as anal sex with another man are two fucked up rednecks. Like, it's just very much, and he is kind of homophobic.
Yeah.
Tarantino, like, it's out there. He's a little racist, a little homophobic. Whether or not, you know, he really believes those things or he just does it for shock value, whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's one more that I wanted to read here. And it was... Okay. 1 out of 5 stars. But what's it about? By a customer. Again, wanted to remain nameless. And this is from 98, so this is a little bit after the movie came out. Maybe when Amazon started. I'm not sure when it did. If you enjoy affectless violence, if you enjoy bathroom humor, if you enjoy homophobia, racism, and misogyny, then you're going to love this movie. And since most critics are straight white men, they love this movie. It's also a movie for, in all caps, straight white male geeks. Tarantino's great achievement was that he brought geek misanthropic perception real angry, tough visibility. The same geeks who flip over Star Wars, flip over Pulp Fiction. All those are in caps, by the way. It makes them feel special, as though a movie had been made for them. There's nothing original here, and those who think there is ignorant of film culture and history. Get a life. Rent Glengarry Glen Ross to see where this kind of existential maledom comes from, and rent it to see how a master handles the intricacies and the pain of being a man. Tarantino parodies it. He also parodies Scorsese and De Palma. And then at the bottom, as a female friend of mine said upon viewing Pulp Fiction, you can watch this movie and you realize this man has never been loved. He's never known love in his life. I will add just one thing. He loves the movies. Parents, let this be a lesson. Raise your kids with love, not TV and movies. 1 star.
I really don't think you want to hear what I have to say.
No, keep it to yourself. Yes. No, say it. No.
No, I'll keep it to myself.
Back and forth.
I think that is...
This is the same kind of guy who's now...
What was that, in 98?
90...
Was it a guy or a girl?
It was a guy.
Oh.
Well, it was... I believe they were uncredited. It was a customer.
Oh.
But I think it's pretty obvious this is a guy.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's a girl.
Well...
Sounds like a girl to me.
Listen... I mean, if I'd been talking about this in my feminist theory class, this sounds like the kind of feminist who we've talked about before is, and let's get into it because I know what you're thinking. She is the kind of girl who is very apt to say how she feels about this, but at the same time does not have any progressive thoughts about feminism that she didn't read somewhere or come up. Like she doesn't have an original thought. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the militant feminists that we all know. They're not. It's just like militant jihadist, Islamists. Like there is no original thought there. There's no ideology. It's just straight up. This movie is misogynist, so I don't like it.
Right.
And then, shout out to Bitch Team Alpha if you want to hear about more feminism.
Which I get that.
I see, and this is the thing. It's hard to defend other feminists when they are militant, right?
Right.
We've talked about this a lot, too. Like, men who identify as feminists and then feminists who say there cannot be a male feminist. Mm-hmm. I think, and right now this is a super hot topic, too, mm-hmm. because of all the men's rights activists right. mm-hmm. and social justice warriors shaming and all this stuff going on the internet. There's so much of this hatred that this kind of movie exemplifies, like,
all of that.
Yeah, it's exemplifies the reactions that people are having to YouTube comments, but in a movie. Like, this content is not made for you if you don't like it. And I'm not saying that's tough shit. Like, I really think Quentin Tarantino is a racist, has misogynist views, like he uses women as objects in his movies. I don't think that's right, but I also think that, you know, when I saw this movie, I had no idea those things were going on. Right. The next movie we're going to be talking about next week has some similar stuff. It's Spice World, and we're going to watch that and talk about it.
Best movie of all time. Just
best
kidding.
movie of all time. Well, we'll see. Which I've never seen, but you have.
You had never seen it?
Correct.
You did not tell me that.
Yeah, but anyways, we're going to watch that next week. But that was something that I think is going to be very shocking, because the jokes fly over your head.
It's kind of the parallel opposite of what we're talking about with
the whole girl power thing. Yeah. But I just really want to point out that I think some people who overreact to this sort of movie just really don't. Like I said, they don't look past, like, people that said Django Unchained was racist. And again, I think maybe Quentin Tarantino is racist. But the point is, we're talking about a time when black people, or all people of color really, Asians as well, were slaves in America. Right. You know? Right. They were considered property. And so the characters in that movie using racial epithets makes sense. And in the same sense, this is a movie about hard-edged criminals and people who are not good people. So for them to act like this makes complete sense. I'm not saying, like, if you don't like it, tough shit.
Well, and it's not like you're condoning it.
And I'm not condoning it, but I am saying it's, like I said, now I look back on it, I see it as a bit infantile, because some of it seems to be for shock value.
Oh, definitely.
But on the same token, it seems like part of it is just how the characters would really talk. So, anyways, go ahead and say what you want to say about that, and then I'll be done with my rant. She's got nothing to say, folks. I think you agree with me, though, right?
I do agree with you, yeah.
For the most part.
But, I mean, you know.
It didn't appeal to you, and that doesn't appeal to me now, which is why a big part of it was lost on me, because not being...
I think maybe if I would have seen it when I was, you know, in that, 12, 13-year-old, where, like, I'm going to see it.
This is a badass movie, because...
Cool movie, and my parents don't want me to see it.
Right.
You know, maybe I would have had a different outlook, and I would have been...
And instead you were watching Spice World.
But instead of watching Spice World, yeah, you know.
Yeah, so good talk. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to wrap up here.
Good talk.
Mm-hmm. We're going to wrap up here. We'll be back next week talking about Spice World. We're going to record a few episodes before we put this up. So next episode, we'll tell you what the next movie is so you can watch along with us. And, you know, like I said, but by the way, big shout out to Bitch Team Alpha podcasts, BTA podcasts on iTunes. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter. Our Facebook page is She's Right, He's Wrong, which is the name of our other podcast, not about movies, just about us bullshitting. First episode of that's going to come up this week, too. Probably on Friday. This will come out on Wednesday, so that's kind of the schedule going forward. Okay, Fridays. Yep.
Clearly, I don't even know the schedule, but now I do.
Because we record on weekends, so it gives me time to edit, because we both have jobs. But yeah, so She's Right, He's Wrong on Facebook. Twitter is SRHW. She's Right, He's Wrong. SRHW podcast. We're going to do some YouTube content as well. We've got some Let's Plays and stuff we want to do. Begrudgingly, because Emily's kind of like, why would I record myself playing a game? Because for the walls. But yeah, we'll see you next week. And we are out.